sum it all up?
Israel proclaimed itself, and something happened. It didn't ask the Jewish people for its loyalty, it received it, because the Jewish people saw in Israel something very deep to its own national historical consciousness. Israel captured the Jewish world in a strange way, not only in terms of Aliyah, not because of a haven against persecution. In some very deep sense, Israel mediates the sense of a continuity in history that is essential to the Jewish experience. To be a Jew is not just merely a leap of faith. It is not just a sect organizing around certain dogma. An essential feature to Jewish self-understanding is a commitment to a people and to a people's history. And Israel captured the imagination of the Jewish world as the filter, as the mediator, as the generator to this larger historical consciousness. There is one people now, a people that in some way feel that their whole sense of identity as a historical people is now channeled by Israel. Without Israel, they lose their historical memory. Without Israel, they lose their historical consciousness. And therefore, to continue being a Jew without Israel is non-conceivable. And I think it's a strange, bizarre, and absurd argument. Will the diaspora continue if there won't be Israel? I think in the deepest sense, for myself, when I came after 67, I realized that I could not continue. I didn't realize how deep Israel had penetrated into my own consciousness. So it's not a question of two centers. There is one people. Some live here. Others live here in a certain way. Naturally, we want them to come here. The first priority is the well-being of this community, but not if it is the exclusive value of the Jewish people. If it destroys every other value, then Israel loses the right to claim the loyalty of the Jewish people. It can claim that loyalty if it feels committed to live up to those values that make us one people. If it loses that commitment, it has no right to demand of all Jews the type of commitment that it does make and Jews respond to. But it cannot engage in certain types of behavior which compromises the Jew's ability to feel totally committed to Israel and yet feel totally committed to the political reality of the United States. That is also a value that we have to guard. We have to enable Jews to be able to feel totally committed here and yet be able to feel that they are part of an American or English society. We cannot make a demand that we should be central to all of Jewry's consciousness and delegitimize 2/3 of American Jewry because they do not subscribe to the Orthodox halacha. The very meaning of Israel today for the Jewish world is that Israel had the chutzpah to proclaim that Jews can have a home, although they are so deeply and ideologically divided. I mean, it would have been easy in the Middle Ages where there was some normative consensus to come home, and yet being so divided means that Israel is prepared to force the Jews to be together, although they ideologically are divided. So Israel then is the center of keeping Jews talking to each other, disagreeing with each other, but never feeling delegitimate. You cannot say you're the home of the Jewish people and yet not admit that the Jewish people's self-understanding is in debate. We are a people who have come home to argue about our memory. And that's a marvelous thing. In coming home, we've discovered that we don't know who we are. And that sense of not knowing who we are in coming home is one of the most exciting challenges of building a people who are yet divided.